Has the age of the sporty mini truck returned? We're gonna find out right now with the Ford Maverick Lobo on track. I am very excited to be back with you because we're gonna talk about something that I was kind of raised on, and that is the sporty mini truck. And this Ford Maverick Lobo kind of tries to capture the spirit of the 80s and early 90s mini truck sports scene. And we're gonna find out through the use of both our track test and our VBox data acquisition if it succeeds. So let's talk a little bit about first just what the Maverick Lobo is. We'll go through the laundry list of just what they do with this truck. So it starts with a regular all-wheel drive Maverick platform, 250 horsepower, 277 foot-pounds of torque, which is a pretty torquey motor. And the torque is kind of its best friend and its worst enemy. We'll get to that a little bit when we talk about the track performance. It's got a 7-speed automatic transmission, which is essentially Ford's 8-speed automatic transmission with second gear locked out. I guess Ford's thought was in a performance situation, they would rather have the torque of that engine be the defining characteristic for the acceleration and not have the thing upshifting and downshifting all over the place. Although this 7-speed transmission does have some real issues on track, as do sort of all of Ford's automatics. And again, we'll get into that when we start talking about the track test. It's all-wheel drive. It does have a torque vectoring rear differential, which helps a little bit in the performance department. It gets the larger radiator and transmission cooler from the tow package, although ironically, the tow capacity of the Maverick Lobo is lower than that of the regular Maverick. Probably due to the fact that it is lowered a bit, 1.1 inches in the rear and about a ½ inch in the front. Has a very nice sort of aggressive stance. Could stand to be a little bit lower even and be aesthetically pleasing, but it's done a pretty good job for an off-the-shelf truck. 19-inch wheels with Goodyear Wrangler Territory HT tires, which are probably in the performance department one of the Maverick Lobo's biggest Achilles heels, and they do not do the truck any favors in the performance department. Probably a fantastic all-around, all-weather tire. Does not help the truck on track at all. A little bit bigger front rotors than the standard Maverick, and calipers off of the Euro spec Ford Focus ST. So it does get a fairly well-rounded upgrade in the performance department. Also gets a big upgrade in the price department relative to what mini trucks were going for back in the day. Maverick Lobo starts just above $37,000, and a truck like our test truck is gonna go for a little over $43,000. And you're also getting stuff like a sunroof and heated seats and steering wheel and high-end sound. And yeah, it makes for a great welcoming interior environment, but it really does no favors to what I think is the whole point of the sporty mini truck, which is to be an affordable alternative that's got a little more practicality and a little more utility than a sporty compact car. So you're looking at something that is right in the price range of like a Civic Type R and more expensive than something like a Hyundai Elantra N. And so you're not going to be really competing for buyers among those segments. But it is what it is. And I will judge the intent and I will judge the enthusiasm that Ford obviously had to put a product like this out there. Because this is not a product that's going to focus group very well these days. The culture has changed from the era of the original affordable mini trucks to what we see today, which is very, very highly equipped, very high content lifestyle vehicles. And I think it takes a lot of initiative for Ford to put something like this out on the street and out on the track. So we are going to check out some of the VBox data that we got from our track test. In fact, this video is brought to you in partnership with VBox. You know, all of our track tests are produced with the assistance of VBox data and their Circuit Tools software. We love it because it is easy to use, it is convenient, and if you're a one-man band at the track, like we at Grassroots Motorsports certainly frequently are, we have a small staff, we can't always take a bunch of people to the track. With our VBox equipment, we can easily gather data, download it, analyze it in between run groups, and get back out on track well armed with better information. It's easy to digest, it's easy to use, and easy to compare data among sessions. It is the only thing we use on all of our track tests. We appreciate them being on board with us. If you want to learn more about all the great VBox lineup and their Circuit Tools software, check out the link in the description. All right, so we have the data chart on the Ford Maverick Lobo here from the Ford International Rally and Motorsport Park. This is our speed graph right here. Along this axis is distance, and along this x-axis is the speed that the vehicle is traveling. So that's going to allow us to see what the car is doing, or sorry, what the truck is doing down the straights, in the corners, and compare it to some other vehicles in our test fleet as well. So, general notes. For a pickup truck, and yes, I think it is fair to grade this vehicle on a curve because it will never not be a pickup truck. So for a pickup truck, it is remarkably competent. However, it is seriously hamstrung by some extraordinarily mediocre tires. Now, they may be perfectly fine tires for everyday use, but for a vehicle with any sort of sporting intentions, I think there were probably better choices, even better choices in an all-weather capable tire, which certainly a pickup truck would lend itself to, than these Goodyear Wrangler Territory HTs, because they do the thing absolutely no favors in the grip department. Now, what they lack in grip, they actually do make up for a little bit in predictability. You can tell exactly where they're sliding, and they do slide quite a bit, but you actually get a very good feel for what the truck is doing, both through your hands and through the seat of your pants, through all of the chassis motion. And the truck feels, fairly well balanced on track. It does tend towards understeer, as you would expect from an all-wheel drive vehicle. It's got kind of a high center of gravity and a forward weight bias. It's not the lightest truck on the market. It's a little bit over 3,800 pounds. So it does have a lot of mass to move around, and with 250 horsepower, which is, probably less than what a lot of other companies are getting from their turbocharged 2-liter power plants, it really doesn't have the kind of acceleration that we would like in a truly sporty vehicle. Now, the torque is nice. It does have a nice little initial pull out of corners, but the torque is also its worst enemy in some spots, because the torque is so low in the rev range that you really sort of lose track of where the engine is by feel. It's got no real swell to the power curve, so you're always sort of bumping off that next gear, which is where our thoughts on this transmission come in. Now, Ford has got a real issue with their automatic transmissions. Even though they give you some paddles on the steering wheel, we had a lot of issues with the automatic equipped Mustang Dark Horse that we tested, never really being able to find the right gear, especially on corner entry. Same thing with this Maverick Lobo. The automatic transmission just doesn't really want to work with the driver and really doesn't respond to the paddles the way we would like it to, the way something like an 8 HP in a BMW would, or the 8 HP in the Toyota Supra. It just really isn't your friend on track. Now, the brakes, actually pretty darn good. We actually noticed no real fade, even over multiple laps. They kind of hung right in there with the car. And when you see these deceleration curves, they're nice and straight, so that we're not seeing a lot of instability or ABS intervention. The peaks up on top here showing how we're transitioning from acceleration to deceleration, fairly sharp. There's a little bit of a rollover there. You've got a kind of a long wheelbase, 120 plus inch wheelbase vehicle. It takes some time to transfer that weight onto the nose of the vehicle and start producing maximum deceleration. So we see a little bit of a rollover here, but honestly not that bad for a tall, heavy vehicle. So what I'm seeing here is actually, a fairly sporty looking graph where we've got fairly sharp peaks at the top. We've got some round bottoms where you see those tires sort of sliding around for grip a lot, which is sort of affecting cornering speed, not letting you get sort of that trail braking right down to the apex and then throttle out. You're doing a lot of sliding in corners. So that's when you see sort of these rounded off bottoms here. And we see a lap time of 1:30.9 seconds, which objectively is not fast. It actually puts it towards the bottom of the leaderboard that we have for all of our cars here at the firm. But it's also, given the limitations of this vehicle, especially the tires, the very wonky transmission, and the fact that it doesn't really have a ton of high-end acceleration, it's actually not that bad. So what have we learned here? Well, we have learned that while the original intent of the mini truck may have been to provide a affordable utilitarian work vehicle, it became a performance darling in the late 80s and early 90s because of some key ingredients: affordability, lightweight, and a lot of bang for the buck. Ford has tried to recapture that with the Maverick Lobo, but they've sort of tried to capture it by skipping a lot of steps and putting the performance, or what they considered the performance, right into the package. And we may have lost something in translation there. They've actually missed some of the spirit of the original mini trucks, which was more of a bare bones, rudimentary, blank canvas sort of approach. Now, all that said, it's still pretty cool. It's pretty cool that Ford has decided to put some performance into this mini truck platform, and it's cool that we have options as enthusiasts over what to buy. And, you know, if I'm gonna bring home a load of mulch, probably a lot easier to do it in the back of a Ford Maverick than it is in the back of a BMW 3 Series. So the Maverick still does have a few things going for it. Hey folks, if you enjoyed the stuff we are doing here at Grassroots Motorsports, I invite you to do a couple of things before we part ways for the day. I would like you to go down here, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. You'll get first crack at all of the stuff that we put here on YouTube. And you can check us out on the web at grassrootsmotorsports.com, where you have access to all of our content, both from online and from our print magazine as well. And you can hook up with enthusiasts like yourself on our message board. We invite you to do that whenever you like, and we cannot wait to see you next time at the track.
Want to see more content like this? Make sure to hit that subscribe button and like this video. And for more information, visit us online at grassrootsmotorsports.com.